Hat, sunglasses, Pepsi, notes, sources, thick skin. Check. You already know. Let's go. Welcome to Gold and Blue today, everybody. This is a college football channel. So if you like college football, hit the like and subscribe button. It's that simple. Also, send gear to represent your team and be a part of my background forever. All you have to do is send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina 29657. Well, it looks like the Pac-12 is finally making a good decision. I'm hearing in the next 2 days, expect an announcement from the Pac-12 and San Diego State that San Diego State will be joining the Pac-12. Well, basically, immediately after I made this video, one of my sources said, yes, the Pac-12 is still going after San Diego State, but it's not going to be in the next 2 days. First, the Pac-12 is going to ink in the new TV deal. So yes, the Pac-12 is still going after San Diego State, but it's not going to be in the next 2 days. So let me make sure that that's corrected. Remember, they're losing USC and UCLA to the Big Ten, so they're losing a footprint in the southern part of the state of California. Well, San Diego State, even though they're not as big of a brand as UCLA and USC, it still allows the Pac-12 to maintain a footprint in the Southern Cal area. And this is a big deal. This is the right decision for the Pac-12. I'm also hearing that they're in talks with SMU. Now, this is a good decision. Do not get me wrong. This is a good decision, but it's very, very strange. I'm not understanding this because they are a religious institution. SMU is a religious institution. So that's one thing that the Pac-12 has said. They don't want any religious institutions in the Pac-12. So I don't know if they're starting to waver on that and they're willing to bend a little bit, which good for you, Pac-12. You need to. If you want to survive, you're going to have to bend on some of those expectations you have from some of your members. But I think the Pac-12 is realizing that if they don't do something, that they're going to go down the drain. I talked about yesterday how the Big 12 going after Gonzaga, that could actually be pointing to the future as far as the Big 12 trying to grab maybe a Washington State, an Oregon State, or a combination of two of those or all four of those. I don't know. Word is they're still interested in the Four Corners, Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. Y'all know me. I don't like Colorado in the mix. I'd rather have Washington State than Colorado. But if you're aiming for those other four schools, then that doesn't really matter. You can get the Four Corners and then still go after Washington State, Oregon State. But the Pac-12 is fighting back. The Pac-12 is finally fighting back. Not hearing much from the ACC. Not at all. And it's also a bad sign for the ACC that West Virginia has actually signed the grant of rights to the Big 12. So they will remain in the Big 12 until 2031. No more videos about West Virginia going to the ACC. So the fact that the Big 12 is making moves and the Pac-12 is making moves, this is a bad sign for the ACC. This might actually confirm what I've been hearing in the fact that there might be 8 teams right now willing to vote to dissolve the grant of rights and dissolve the ACC as a whole. And poof goes the ACC, and the ACC gets picked apart. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the Big 12 is waiting to bring in the Four Corners. Maybe they know that those 8 teams do exist and that they will vote to dissolve the ACC, and they want to strengthen the east side of the Big 12. And as a West Virginia fan, knowing, hey, we're staying in the Big 12, all right? We're staying in the Big 12. Now let's go out and get some of our rivals. That way we can play them on a year-in and year-out basis. I'm talking about Pitt, Syracuse, Louisville. We might not be able to get Virginia Tech whenever it comes to the Big 12, but hey, at least you can get those 3 teams and maybe add an NC State. That's 4 strong teams to add to the Big 12. Well, the Pac-12 is trying to stay relevant. And adding San Diego State, this is a big deal. San Diego State just built a new football stadium. Their fan base is growing and growing. Their basketball brand is at an all-time high right now. Their football brand is climbing as well. A little bit of a letdown year this year, but that's okay. San Diego State is a good brand. It's in Southern California. The Pac-12 needed to go out and get San Diego State. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I said the Pac-12 needs to get San Diego State, Fresno State, and they're going to have to bend majorly, but go out and get Boise State. Boise State would definitely add to the football brand. Boise State has a great fan base. They are investing into their football program. And hey, I thought that was a sign that maybe the Power 5 conferences are looking at Boise State and they're showing them, hey, we're willing to invest into our football program and into our other sports. Well, then the Big 12 went out and got BYU, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati. I'm like, man, Boise State, their stock is falling. And on top of that, Memphis is investing into the Liberty Bowl $200 million. So their stock is jumping through the roof as well. I do think that eventually Boise State and Memphis will get picked up by a power conference. Now, Memphis wouldn't guarantee any addition to the TV revenue of the Big 12 because in the new TV deal, it states that if you add Power 5 team, that can increase the revenue by 67%, but a Group of 5 team can't guarantee anything. So that kind of puts a dent as far as Memphis joining the Big 12, but it could still happen. It could still happen. Or maybe the ACC could be interested in Memphis, knowing that things might be about to fall apart and they need to add some revenue-making brands into the mix. And Memphis would be the top Group of 5 brand as far as adding possible TV revenue to the ACC. But the Pac-12, this is a great decision. Hopefully, for the Pac-12's sake, this is not the end of it. Hopefully, the Pac-12, they add San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and then one other team. I don't know what that other team would be. A lot of people think that it's UNLV because UNLV has a lot of money. Their fan base does not support them. That's the one downfall of UNLV. But they are in the city of Las Vegas. They share a great football arena with the Las Vegas Raiders. So the facilities are very, very nice. And the Pac-12 championship is being held in Las Vegas. I don't know on a yearly basis, but I know it's being held at least a few times over there in Las Vegas. That could be the future headquarters of the Pac-12. And UNLV would be a no-brainer decision simply based on those facts. So they could add San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State. And I know, they're not up to academic standards and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, Boise State would help the Pac-12. And then, of course, UNLV. And maybe that would strengthen the TV deal enough to where Washington and Oregon would not bolt for the Big 12. Now, if the Big 10 opens up and wants Washington and Oregon to come to the Big 10, sorry, nothing you can do, Pac-12. Nothing you can do. Are you hearing me? Nothing you can do can keep Washington and Oregon from leaving the Pac-12 and joining the Big 10. That's just too big of a conference, too much money to turn down, and they would be off to the races in the Big 10. So the Pac-12's only hope of Washington and Oregon never leaving would be the Big 10 never wants them. Now, Washington and Oregon could turn down the Big 12 if the Big 12's interested in them, but they are not going to turn down the Big 10. That's just not going to happen. But with the Pac-12 going out and getting San Diego State, it does show me that they still have some fight, and they still want to survive, and they still have some hope. They still have some hope, even though they lost USC and UCLA. And yes, that is a massive loss for the Pac-12. Big time loss. But they're showing they're still willing to fight. They're going to go out and try to get some good brands to maintain power status and to keep other members from leaving the Pac-12 as well. So they're doing exactly what they need to do. First step, go out and get San Diego State. But there are more steps after that. Now, I said San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, and UNLV. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm also hearing that they're in talks with SMU. So maybe SMU takes the spot of Boise State. So they go out and get San Diego State, Fresno State, SMU, and UNLV. And that's still strong additions. I would take Boise State over UNLV, but simply because of the Las Vegas aspect, I don't see that happening. So Boise State's only chance of getting to a power conference might be to the Big 12. And that's not looking good either because of what I said about the TV deal. Adding a Group of 5 conference doesn't guarantee any type of revenue increase for the Big 12. In other words, you're not adding to the pie. You're just adding another piece to the pie, so it's having to be split among other teams if you're adding Group of 5 teams. So it's not looking good for Boise State if the Pac-12 is choosing SMU over Boise State. That's bad news for Boise State. But I think that's still good news for the Pac-12 because I think SMU is a good football brand. You're getting a footprint in the state of Texas. That is a massive deal for the Pac-12. I suggested a while back that they actually need to go after some Texas schools in the Big 12. I'm talking about TCU, Baylor, or Texas Tech. Texas Tech being numero uno. Maybe the Pac-12, by going out and getting SMU, they're actually going to try to make a play on Texas Tech. I don't know if that would work out. But hey, you never know. What we have to realize is the decisions that these conferences are making today are setting up decisions that they're going to make in the future. And that's why I think the Big 12 adding Gonzaga isn't just a stop there. Because that makes absolutely no sense. Gonzaga's all the way out in the state of Washington, kind of secluded from everybody else. So if they go out and get Gonzaga and stop there, that doesn't make sense. So to me, that tells me that they're at least going to try to go out and get other brands on the West Coast. They will try to get the biggest brands, Washington, Oregon. They might not get them, but they will try to get them. And then the consolation prize would be getting Washington State and Oregon State. And that would be worth getting Gonzaga. Same for the Pac-12. If they're going out and trying to get SMU, maybe they're going to try to make a play on the Texas schools. TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech. Texas Tech being the number 1 team, in my opinion, as far as a team to go for in the state of Texas. So maybe the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are trying to make a play on each other's members. Hey, the Big 12 wants the West Coast teams, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State. But at the same time, the Pac-12 wants the Texas schools out of the Big 12. TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech. And I'm not saying all those schools for both the Big 12 and the Pac-12, but at least one or more of those schools, each of these conferences might be going after. This might be a long time back and forth going on between the Pac-12 and the Big 12. And then the ACC is sitting there doing nothing. This is bad news for the ACC. Not a good look for the ACC. So y'all let me know in the comments section, what do you think about the Pac-12 getting San Diego State and also talking about SMU? Could they be making a play on the Texas schools from the Big 12 and also the Big 12 going out and getting Gonzaga? Could they be making a play on the West Coast schools from the Pac-12? And do you think this means the ACC will dissolve in the near future? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.